I will be speaking to you in the context of those points there: a rescuing hug, the definition of trafficking in persons, types and trends in trafficking in persons, population by continent, number of cases by continent, the Jamaican situation and the response of the government, the role of members of local populations and the global community, the impact on freedom. I expect that when I'm finished, you would either be changed for the better, with some commitment to going out and helping our people who are suffering in slavery, or you will remain unmoved. Now, last year, September, to the 8th of September to be precise, as I did my devotional reading for the morning, preparing to go to do a session in Montego Bay, I came upon the reference to the rescuing hug. And so I Googled it because I couldn't understand what they were talking about. And I learned that there was a set of twins in hospital here in the United States, and one of them started to deteriorate, meaning they're going to die if nothing is done. The nurse on duty did her best and could not come up with anything. And then she remembered something she learned in Europe, was to put the two together. And the one deteriorating should do better. And this she did. Immediately, ladies and gentlemen, the child started to respond. And so, for me, it's instinctively God's gift of love that keeps us going. We were born to love each other, so placing a deteriorating, dying twin in the cot with the thriving one instinctively resulted in the steady improvement of the struggling sister. You may look it up by going into Google. The picture at the extreme right of the slide shows them today. How did we arrive where we are today with a level of wickedness in our world? Yes, predicted by Scripture, but it is still amazing. The quick response is sin, broken down as greed of the haves and the desire for a better way of life for the have-nots. We have moved from legal slavery, which ended in the 1800s, that's in modern times, but today we have illegal criminal slavery. It's organized crime of the most dangerous proportions. The illegal trade in human beings being more lucrative than guns and drugs, terrorists have now shifted to include the trade in human beings in their arsenal. It is becoming the most preferred crime of the three. So, in 2000, the United Nations came to terms to recognize that this was a problem. And so the Palermo Protocol was derived. The Americans then joined in and created the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000. And America then set up itself to be the watchdog, global watchdog for all of us. So what is trafficking in persons? Recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons. That's the activity. Then there is the means. How do you do that? Using threats, force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or a position of vulnerability, giving or receiving of payments or benefits. And for the purpose, of course, to increase your income, to exploit people, and to get control over them. Jamaica is troubled by human trafficking. For a long time, we wouldn't admit it. But in 2005, the National Task Force, which I lead, was created, and we decided to fight. So, trafficking in persons, human trafficking, modern-day slavery, all terms mean the same. It appears in the different ways that I've listed on the side. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, forced labor, forced begging, child soldiers, and forced marriages, as we have calling sometimes in some countries the mail order bride. Why do I bring it to this forum? Or perhaps, why was I invited to come to this forum? Because it is a global problem. It's not the US's problem, it's not Jamaica's problem, it's every single person who is alive. It's everybody's business. This slide shows you the spread, as has been estimated by the Global Slavery Index, of the number of cases in our world of persons like you and me, our children who are enslaved. So it's the Global Slavery Index report of 2016 proposes that there are 45.8 million persons in slavery today. 58.5% of these are in 5 countries of the world: India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Uzbekistan. And perhaps more importantly to those who wish to make money off of this, it's a $32 billion US business annually. So, I say it again, transnational organized crime. We are required to focus on 5 areas, to have a proper policy and mechanisms to bring that policy into effect. Then there are prevention and public awareness. The only way you can manage human trafficking is if you know what it is. Protection of victims. These are persons who have suffered and have managed to come out alive, because there is also the threat of death. Prosecution, the investigation and prosecution of the traffickers. And of course, it cannot succeed without partnership and international cooperation. These slides I have attempted to show you a little graphically the situation. Because if you've never been exposed to a victim, you will not understand what this crime does to you. Right? So in Jamaica, we are pushing as hard as we can. And we have created public service announcements so everybody can know what is going on. And in fact, the first victim we rescued was the result of an individual seeing a public service announcement in 2008, after we passed the law in 2007, and was able to go to the police, and we rescued a Burmese national in our country being enslaved by 2 Burmese doctors who were employed in Jamaica. We hold Trafficking in Persons Weeks now. This year, the Governor General gave the proclamation that we have a national week of observance. And so we have intensified our campaign because we have determined that we are going to bring it under control. Prosecution. Investigations, we started 2010 to 2017. 3 major prosecution rings have been dismantled. 73 victims have been rescued. Yes, in our little island of 2.7 going to 3 million people. 350 raids conducted and 15 persons charged for the crime. We have gotten so far 4 convictions. So, what are we to do? Help to identify and locate victims. That's the most important piece of work, to rescue victims and then to take care of them. This is the most deteriorating, dehumanizing experience that I can think of. I don't know if you can think of anything else. Increase sensitization so we can spread the word everywhere. And that's why I'm here today. Target all vulnerable groups. Warn them. So we go to our schools, and we are about to start a country campaign in Jamaica where we are going to all the highways and byways, nooks and crannies to get our people fully on board. Do something. I'm here to share with you, all of us need to do something to stop human trafficking, and something tangible. So, be wise. This is our theme at home. Open your eyes. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Spot them, stop them, and report them. Humans should be free. It is a human right. It's the constitutional guarantee that we should be free. Trafficking persons is illegal. Human trafficking threatens global freedom. It enslaves people at huge costs, including death. As global citizens, we need to act, and act now. So, in Jamaica, there are push factors: poverty, lack of education. We have vulnerable groups, those who are unemployed, children. And when you come from poor circumstances where even pastors will abuse you to have children so the family can have a meal, it's serious business. Emerging trends, social media. We have to look to our children and see what they're doing on the smartphones and on the computer. And finally, this came out of one of my devotional readings last week as I finalized this presentation. Today, God gives men opportunity to show whether they love their neighbor. He who truly loves God and his fellow men is he who shows mercy to the destitute, the suffering, the wounded, those who are ready to die. God calls upon every man to take up his neglected work to seek to restore the moral image of the Creator in humanity. I thank you.